Phil Dawson, aka Phil the Barber, is a 20-year industry veteran, barber instructor, celebrity barber, and barbershop owner. Today, we're going to hear his story, how he got to where he is, and what is the state of the industry as a barber instructor working at a hair school. What is the perspective from not only an instructor, but also a barbershop owner? What is that perspective and what is that dynamic like from his view? Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes and I am your host. And today I'm with Phil. How you doing today, Phil?
Hey, how you doing, man? How's everything?
Very good, very good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate this.
Man, thank you for having me, man. It's definitely an honor, man. I done heard so much about Hairdresser Strong, so when you called me to reach out, when you reached out to me, and say I want you on the show, man, it was a no brainer. I was like, yo, I would definitely love to be on the show. So I'm glad we was able to work our schedules out for me to be on the show, man.
Awesome, awesome. Well, to all of our audience members, we I met Philip at like in person. I met you at Temple in Annapolis, Temple School in Annapolis, and what a amazing school! Shout out to Charles and Sharon; they're awesome, and then so like we got to talking, Phil and I, and we were talking about like what Hairdresser Strong we talk a lot about is the students and setting themselves up for success and like is that happening, what if it's not, what needs to happen, if it is happening, what does that look like, etc. So all right, so Phil, let's before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your story, like did you go to school, did you do an apprenticeship program, and tell us like like you were working where you're working and then like the steps that led you to here.
Okay, so yes, I did go to a barber school. I went to Bennett Career Institute in Washington D.C. Um, Pretty much my foundation. I have two uncles who are both barbers, so I watched them before I actually went to school. And one actually showed me the clippers, put the clippers in my hand, showed me how they work. That was my uncle A. But then my uncle Angelo, he was the celebrity barber, so he was the barber that I was like, yo, I want to mimic. He was cutting like Jill Scott and Floyd Mayweather. So I said, yo,
Nice.
I really want to be on that platform. But they both encouraged me to go to school and get the education and the knowledge of barbering. So that's how I ended up going to Bennett Career Institute. And over the years, I have worked on major platforms such as the Bronner Brothers in Atlanta, the DC Pacifics Only down at the Convention Center. And I also work with major artists such as Glenn Jackson, Kendall Gaskins from the 49ers, and New Edition's own Johnny Gibb. So
Nice.
I'm thankful that I'm able to reach those goals and was able to get on those platforms over the years of barbering.
So speaking of getting on different platforms, for anybody one who's here listening to this and isn't 100% sure what you mean, what do you mean by that?
So getting on platforms is pretty much um, achieving, making goals and achieving the goals that you're trying to achieve. I wanted to be a celebrity barber. When I first got in the industry, one of the first things I kept saying, I called myself the celebrity barber, and it was more so not just that I wanted to cut celebrities, but I wanted to let my clients feel like they were celebrities getting out my chair. So that was the main thing. So my celebrities, not the ones that I've cut, the big names that everybody knows. It's the names that people don't know that get in my chair every other day, every 2 weeks, every week, every month. You know.
Nice.
So those are my celebrities. Those who I look up to as my celebrities.
Nice. And what do you think was the reason why you were able to get so many different opportunities during your career?
The reason why I was able to get to those was because um, I didn't wait for the phone to ring. I went after it for myself. I put myself um, in different arenas. such as the Warner Brothers hair show itself, going to visit and spectate, but also network. I had to network with different barbers, different stylists, and build a relationship and a rapport with them. So, and also I just kept letting them know this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. And to a point where, oh, Phil, I got an opportunity for you. Or Phil, can you fly out to Chicago for this event? And I'm like, okay, yes. But I put myself in those arenas. I've networked with these people to help get me there. I didn't really just wait for it to fall in my lap. Meaning I didn't just sit in a barbershop and just twiddle my thumbs, hoping and wishing the phone was gonna ring, or hoping and wishing someone's gonna come knock on my door. No, I started kicking on their doors. And I just kept putting in people's heads every single day, every week. Like, yo, this is what I want to do. Do you know anybody? Do you know how can I get there? And that's how I
Nice.
ended up getting to where I was able to get to.
Nice. So what how, like at what point how long like so did you work with family after school and then how like tell me about like from school to ending up with your own shop. Like what was that path like?
But okay, so I think school. No, I did not work with family.
Okay.
Um, I actually found a mentor um, at a local mall in PG County, and I thought I was going to work with him. And it was funny because he was like, "Man, you got to get the gas. You can come work in our shop." And I ended up talking to the owner of the shop, got in the shop, and the day that I got hired, my mentor ended up quitting.
No, no.
Right. So I felt like I was just left, by myself. And
Totally.
yeah, totally. So it was crazy because at the time I thought I was a dope barber. You know what I mean? I thought, I had the skill levels to do what I needed to do, but I was also had a wake up call. I realized that I was not the dope barber that I thought I was at the time. I had to really groom my skills and hone my skills, meaning like I really had to work on my fades, I had to work on my regulars, work on my shape ups. And it took my peers around me to let me know that, yo, you need some work. So it took time. It didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of frustration. Took a lot of thoughts like, man, I just want to quit. But I had to, my pride wouldn't let me quit. I worked too hard. I went to school. I paid all this money. I have goals. So it wouldn't let me quit. I knew what my gift and my passion was. And the peers around me wouldn't let me quit. So that's what I'm thankful for with those. With the peers that was around me. So I think I worked in that shop for about a year. And once I worked in the shop, trying to build my clientele, worked in another shop, and then finally took my, I think I got into my big break when I want to say I got to my like my third or fourth shop, and at that time, celebrities was coming through, and I thought I was gonna be the one to cut the celebrities, and guess what? I didn't. I didn't. you know. But I watched my other barbers that was around me, my other peers, they were cutting the celebrities. They was on the platform. So I knew I was getting closer. And I want to say the biggest thing that got me is when I had stopped cutting for 2 years. I stopped cutting for 2 years. I had just got married, had kids. I was like, yo, I got to do something better. I think at the time the shop I was working at was a little slow. So I took a break, for 2 years, ended up getting another job. And
What were you doing? Anything with using like your any of your skills?
no, it was definitely totally opposite from barbering. I was
Okay.
working with ADT doing
Gotcha.
security installation.
Gotcha.
And then I went from security installation to um, working with another company called Guardian. So it really just took a toll on me. So um, I'm a Bible believer. I'm very spiritual with the Most High. And I remember I was in my room one day and I was like just broke down crying and I was like, yo, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? And he actually showed me my hands just like this. He showed me my hands. And at the time, I thought it was about drums because I'm a musician as well. So I started practicing drums and I'm practicing, found me a drum instructor and everything to work on my craft and things of that sort. And then it just so happened my drum instructor opened up his drum school, and the drum school just so happened to be in the bottom basement of a barbershop.
Oh, nice.
So I worked with him, helping him out, teaching drum lessons. And the owner of the barbershop came to me and was like, yo, I heard you cut hair. I said, yeah. He's like, you got a license? I said, yeah, I got a license. So I showed him my work, and he said, all right, you got some skills. There's some things you can work on, but for the most part, you can cut. He said, whenever you're not busy downstairs, man, just come up here, cut some hair. And at that time, I thought I was done. Thought I was done cutting hair, but I needed some money. Like I said, I was married with some kids now. So I started slowly but surely working my way upstairs, bringing my clippers in, and start cutting, one client at a time, getting back into the rhythm. And they start showing me the different techniques to make my haircuts look more cleaner, more precise, things of that sort, to a point where their clients were starting to come to me. So when I started to notice that, now it's time to, okay, let's brand my name. Let's make, come up with a brand. So that's how I ended up coming with P. Dawson. That's my brand. Start getting t-shirts, what else? Towels. And I always was the barber that set myself apart from other barbers. So all my shirts and my apparel was so different than everyone else. So that was my main thing. So it just so happened, one of the clients that was coming to the shop just so happened to be um, a manager for a celebrity artist by the name of Johnny Gill. Y'all know him from New Edition. And that was one time me and him was sitting there talking. I remember saying it like it was just, that's it, man. Maybe one day I get a chance to cut Johnny, and I was just joking. Well, we always say there's a little truth in the jokes, right? But we also say you speak things into existence. So I remember I was getting a phone call and from his manager, he said, yo, I need you to meet me at this address. Stop what you're doing and meet me at this address. I said, well, I got this client in the chair. He's like, all right, look, I need you finish that and meet me at this address. I need you to do a service. I said, all right, not a problem. So at the time, I didn't even know who I was cutting. I thought I was cutting him, the manager. So he gave me the address. I made my way to the address. It was at this hotel. So I go to the hotel, let them know I was there. They met me downstairs. She said, I need you to cut my buddy. I said, okay, not a problem. We go upstairs. His buddy was Johnny Gill. So that was my first major artist that I cut.
Nice. Nice.
And it went from there to opening doors to cutting at the Barber Brothers, cutting on the BT Awards, the Stella Awards, and things of that sort. So it just opened up so many doors after that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so when did you open up your own shop? Like, how did that happen?
So I opened up my own shop during the pandemic. I was working in the shop in Bowie, and I knew it was my time to leave, but I was nervous. So when the pandemic hit, we really, all the shops shut down, and my wife asked me what I was going to do. I said, baby, I don't know. I said, I can do some house calls and things of that sort. She was like, yeah, but even still, that's not even safe. I said, yeah, but that's all I know. I'm used to working in the shop. I'm used to, doing things a little different. So we have two houses, and it just so happened the house in PD County was at the time vacant. And she said, well, babe, why don't you change the house down in PD County into a barbershop? So I thought about it. So that don't sound too bad of an idea. So I went and prayed on it and went to my resources and I went to my uncle, the one who actually put the clippers in my hand. I went to him and I told him, what I was thinking about doing, and he was like, "Man, I think it's a great idea." It just so happened I have two barber chairs. I'm not using one of them. Once you take this one until you get on your feet.
So good. So
So
good.
so that's how the PND Grooming Lounge was established during the
Nice.
pandemic.
Nice. That's awesome. How long you been teaching at Paul Mitchell? I mean, sorry, at Temple School.
Yeah, it's Paul Mitchell. It's the Temple of Paul Mitchell Partner School. So they are affiliated with Paul Mitchell. So I've been working there 3 years come March 21st.
Okay. All right. And so how has that experience been so far? Like what have been your things that you've enjoyed the most, and what type of things have you found to be challenging?
Well, I've enjoyed, first of all, interacting with the students. It's more than just being an instructor. You are a mentor, you're a father, you're a big brother, you're an uncle, you're a counselor, to these students. And when I first got there, my why was so much different than what I really thought it was going to be. My why is so much greater than that. Man, I was there to get the information, learn how to be an instructor, teach, and I'm gonna move forward. But no, it has gotten to a place where I feel nothing but love there. Like I said, Charles and Sharon has been amazing. I love them. If they get a chance to see this, I just want y'all to know, look, I love y'all and I thank y'all and I appreciate y'all for everything that y'all have done. But I thank you for the opportunity. And those students are the reason why I wake up and go to work every single day, because the love and the passion that I bring and the love and passion that they're receiving. So that way they can carry this same energy out into their salons and their barbershops as they go through their journeys.
Nice. Nice. So how has it been? Like like the focus of this conversation is not only to get to know you, but like get your perspective on the state of the industry as it pertains to the student and the salon owners finding success. We talked a little bit about pre like we had a pre conversation before this, and the topic about salons trying to hire and wanting the students to train, and the students not wanting to train, and then now some students seem like they want to train, but it's kind of like it's hard to really know exactly. So from your perspective, what is the current situation going on in school?
So right now, the biggest thing is um, the students not knowing how to market themselves outside of social media. Okay,
Okay.
they so content working with social media. Now I have nothing against social media. I have nothing against Instagram. I have nothing against Facebook, TikTok, so forth and so forth. But my thing is, you also have to go out into the streets, pass out your business cards, pass out your flyers, and don't stop. They think that everything is supposed to just fall right into their lap. They want to make this buku dollars when they get into a shop. But when they get into the shop, they sit in their chairs and they like twiddling their thumbs, twiddling their thumbs, hoping and wishing something is going to fall in their lap. But you have to go and create that. You have to create the dollars. Don't wait for it to fall in your lap. Everyone don't have social media. Everyone don't have TikTok. Everyone don't have Facebook or Instagram. But If you make a personal, go to face with an individual, that's what's going to stick to you the most, or that's what's going to stick to them. Give them a flyer. Say, hey, my name is Phil. I work in this barbershop right here. This is what I do. If you ever need a haircut, please come and check me out. Then they're going to be like, you know what? I know where the location is. I know who the face is. I know who gave me this. So now I'm going to take this same flyer. I'm going to think about it. Or I'm going to go ahead and finish doing what I got to do. But when it's time for me to get a haircut, I'm going to remember this flyer and the location and the person that gave this to me.
Totally. So are you saying that if the biggest problem that you're seeing is that the students don't know how to market themselves other than social media, does that mean that you like does that is it safe to assume that you're saying that because you've seen students graduate and not make it? Like is like it like does that make sense? Like if I said like, well, I think the biggest problem with like that student's face is not being able to market themselves or not knowing how to market themselves, and I say this because why would you say that that's the biggest? Is it because you like? Because I'm always wondering like we have this the students are in school, but like how much do we really track them beyond school? And like, I know that I've given my number out, to every single student almost or DM or whatever, like telling people to hit me up. And, people hit me up, but like I get just as many people hitting me up asking me for advice before they graduate as I do students after they've graduated in kind of like a panic mode or like feeling like they're gonna quit, doing hair. I mean, so I don't know, like, that is the not across the board, but that's my personal experience. Like, what is your personal experience with that?
So this is one of the reasons why I got into the education field, because I was working in a barbershop and a student who had just graduated um, had started working in the shop that I was working in. And the young man pretty much was trying to rely on walk-ins, right? And I told him, I said, man, you can't rely on walk-ins because when it's slow and no walk-ins coming in, then what you gonna do? And the individual told me, like, man, he felt like the walk-ins are supposed to go to him and another new barber that was there at the time. And I was like, nah, they said the walk-ins is for everybody. It's, the walk-ins is for the shop. So it's not just for you. It's not just for the other individual. It's for everybody. So I said, this is what you need to do. And I said, I'm going to do it with you because I know it works. You get some flyers and I'm going to get some flyers. We're going to go ahead and pass these out together. So guess what? I got my flyers. He got his. I went out and passed mine out. He sat in his chair. So I said, okay, I can show you better than I can tell you. So I was passing out my flyers, passing out my flyers, passing out my flyers. And before you know it, people started coming in. So he came to me one day. He was like, man, how you get that person? How you get that? I said, they came in off my flyer. He said, man, every time I see you, you cutting. I said, yeah, because it's a numbers game. If I pass out 100 flyers, out of that 100, I may get 20 or 10. I got to keep passing them out because everyone that I pass out, that's how much I'm going to get back. I'm going to get at least 20 to 10 back. So when he started seeing it, now his light bulb went off, and now he's like, okay, let me go ahead and do that too. But the problem was he wasn't consistent. He got comfortable sitting in his chair, thinking he can do a little bit here, sit back in his chair, wait for it. He don't get nothing. Now he's frustrated. It's like you watering a plant. I said, you put the seed in it. That's the flyers that you passing out. That's your seed. Now you got to water it. You got to keep passing it out. Keep passing it out. And over time, your flowers will grow, meaning your clientele will grow. So guess what? You got to.
So, question: What are you? What would you say is the most important thing to students currently, like, when they're thinking about their like after school? What are they telling you they're thinking about?
Oh wow. You have a few things. So they trying to figure out if they want to work in a shop. They were trying to figure out if they want to do commission versus booth rent. They trying to figure out if they want to start from working at home, like start at home right off the break. Now those I tell them be very cautious because you can get frustrated trying to start your own right off the break. Now, you still have to build your clientele. And again, they focus on, well, I can just promote myself and do all this content on social media, and then one day it's going to happen. That's cool. And it may just, you know, but also pass your flyers out. When you go hang out with your friends and y'all go to the little lounges or go to church or whatever in the grocery store, pass your business cards out, pass your flyers out. Because guess what? Someone's going to need a barber, someone's going to need a stylist, and they're going to need to know where you're at. The best place to pass them out is in your neighborhood, in your area.
Totally. So, what are the students who are thinking about commission versus booth rent? What can you tell us a little bit about, like, help us understand the psychology around that decision making and like, yeah.
Okay, so commission versus booth rent. There's nothing wrong with either one, right? I always tell my students that's just about to graduate, freshly out, that has not worked in a shop, don't have a lot of clientele. To me, it's up to you, but to me, the best move is to go with a commission shop. That way, you can build your clientele while you learn the business at the same time.
And
Meaning,
how receptive are they to that? They're like, okay,
they
yeah, or
very
they're like,
receptive.
nah, I like being the idea, like, they prefer this idea of a booth rent over a commission, or like, what's their vibe on that?
I get a little bit of both, but for the most part, they kind of receptive to the um, um, the commission side, you know,
Interesting. So,
because
like, is that different? Has that been the case the entire time you've been a teacher, or have you seen any changes in the students from the time you started to the time to now, and what and how they think about their career or their future?
I definitely have seen some changes. It
Oh,
was
what are those changes?
so at one point, everyone's I'm going booth rent, I'm going booth rent, or I'm going to start from my house. I'm gonna be a mobile barber. But when I start breaking it down and give them the difference between all three, now they like, okay, Mr. Field, this do make sense. Yeah, I don't. I'm working this 9 to 5, and I still got bills. Yeah, because I don't just talk to them about barbering. I talk to them about life issues. You
Right.
know, so you still have bills. So that means if you work in a booth rent shop, you're not uh you're not helping yourself. You actually creating another bill to me because you got to pay that every week, not once a month.
Right.
Oh, I ain't think of it like that, Mr. Field. Yeah, but if you go to a commission shop, they take a percentage, but you guarantee some type of money to come to you within a week or two. Plus, you get your tips. You know, booth rent, you get your tips, but you gotta separate your tips, but then you gotta put part of your booth rent aside. And once you pay your booth rent, then everything else is what you make. But say you're in the shop for a whole week and you only cut one person, then what? But
Right.
if you're in a commission shop, at least you guarantee something.
Totally. So would you say that? So it sounds like you're saying that in the last few years, you've seen a shift from students wanting to go straight into business for themselves and be their own boss to being more receptive to going and working underneath of somebody and for somebody else as a commission operator.
Yes. So I definitely have seen that. And some, I'm like, hey, go for it. If you already have the clientele, you already established, hey, go for it. I don't see why not. Because they have the mindset of working for themselves. I get it. But if you do not have the clientele and you waiting until you finish school to start this, to me, it ain't gonna happen. It's gonna take too much time. Like I said, you
Yeah.
still got bills, right?
Right.
But if you start while you in school, if you start while you're in school, then guess what? You might just be all right on your way out the door, going into a shop or going into your own. But if you wait until after you graduate, you might want to hold tight.
Nice, totally. Okay, so all right, so we're coming up on our time. I appreciate you sharing your insights to to students and sharing us like with the type of communication you're having with them. And I also just as like a last minute thing to sign off with, um, what piece of advice would you give to a salon owner or shop owner, like a commission-based business that is trying to attract your students?
What I would say to a salon owner or business, you have to give the students something for them to come to you. Okay, give them something. Meaning, what are you offering? Are you offering? Okay, we're gonna have you come in and we're gonna do. We have health insurance, life insurance, a 401k. You know, you have to give them something. We're gonna help you build your clientele. We're gonna help you with your supplies. But if you just expecting them to come in and off the break, you already charging them an arm and a leg for booth rent, or you taking majority of the percentage off the commission, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them. So my advice is to give them something so they can feel comfortable and stay for a long term. Because these students, they definitely looking for long term employment, but you have to give them something, give them some type of incentive. If you service this many clients, we give you a bonus. If you sell this many products, we give you this much on commission of the products. You have to give them something.
It's interesting to hear you talk about it because we've spent so much time honing in on the fact that so many students want to go into a suite or into business for themselves at the school, and now we're seeing now you're not the first teacher to tell me that they're this new class of students. They're not they like the idea of being in business for themselves, but they also like the idea of working for somebody in the beginning, which is a huge shift from just before COVID. I was going into schools and nobody wanted to go work at a salon. Maybe like two people out of like 40 people, like a super small percentage of people wanted to work at a salon. And now it was like, and then like up until like, last year, it was like, well, I'll work at a salon because I have to. But I'm going to go out on my own. But it sounds like there might be even more of a shift. And correct me if I'm wrong, that students are now more thinking about finding a place to work versus thinking about starting their own business. Is that safe to say, or is that no? That's not what you're saying.
Nah, I'm not gonna say that because
Okay.
you still have some students out there that's like, yo, I'm gonna go into a suite, you know, and that's cool. Go into a suite, but guess what? You still gotta build your clientele. If you don't have a strong clientele, you gonna fall short on on that suite. But if you work in a salon that's treating you right, then you might just be okay, and you can build your way up into a suite. Build your clientele, get a nice good following. I always tell my clients, and I even say this to my own self, you want to have yourself at least 100 clients. Build yourself to 100 clients. If you build yourself to 100 clients, you're going to be all right. You're going to be straight. But
So would you say that there's been not really a big change in the students that really like they still all want to be the majority of them want to be in business for themselves?
they, most of them, yes, they want to
Okay.
be, at some point, they want to be in business for themselves. But
Okay.
then you have very few who's like, you know what? I don't want to do the business. I ain't got time to deal with the overhead. I don't want to deal with the people. I'd rather work in a salon or a barbershop, and I just, be good with that. But like I said, as a barbershop owner or salon owner, you got to treat your people right. If you treat your people right, you got them for a long, long haul.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you and sharing and taking. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Man, once again, Rob, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed, man. I would love to come back if you want me to come back, man. We can talk about something else, man. Cigars and booze or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Definitely.
All
Man,
right.
thank you again.
All right, man. Have a good one. I'll see you later.
Peace.